welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Diplomatic relations between Ukraine and Malaysia were established in March 1992, and Malaysia was among the first countries to recognize the independence of Ukraine. Since then, the relations between the two countries focused on economic, scientific, and humanitarian aspects. To discuss the most recent developments in Ukrainian-Malaysian partnerships, we're honored to welcome to the studio today Dato Raja Reza, Ambassador of Malaysia to Ukraine. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So, as I have already mentioned, the relationship between Ukraine and Malaysia was first established in 1992, and since then, the two countries have held a partnership relationship. What would you say are the most important industries or niches that our two countries are cooperating on?
From our perspective, the most realistically promising areas of cooperation are in the areas of tourism and also capacity building. Tourist arrivals from Ukraine to Malaysia has been on an increasing trend since 2011. Despite that we don't have direct flights from Kiev to Kuala Lumpur. Visa-free travel for Ukrainians traveling to Malaysia is also another factor that has drawn many Ukrainians to visit Malaysia. Besides that, Ukrainians are also attracted to Malaysia's white sandy beaches, beautiful islands, and excellent connectivity that enables smooth travels to other countries in the region. For example, in 2017, more than 13,000 Ukrainians traveled to Malaysia. And we realize that the number is still low, and we are planning to strive very hard to attract more Ukrainians to come to Malaysia. And 2020 has been designated as Visit Malaysia Year, whereby the Malaysian government is aiming to attract 36 million foreign tourists to Malaysia. And in this regard, Malaysia, including the Embassy of Malaysia in Kiev, will be undertaking a lot of promotional activities to attract more Ukrainians to come to Malaysia. The tourism office in Istanbul is covering the Ukraine market, and they are planning to have roadshows in Ukraine this month, including cities like Kiev, Odessa, and Kharkiv. And they also plan to participate in the Ukraine International Travel Market exhibition to be held in October in 2019. On capacity building, recently Ukraine has been accepted as a recipient of the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program, or MTCP. Now, Ukrainian officials are eligible to take part in technical programs offered by the government of Malaysia, including training programs such as in the field of anti-corruption, English language, and also diplomacy.
Have Ukrainian officials been active in participating in that part of the cooperation so far?
So far, there have yet to be any Ukrainian taking part, because Ukraine has been accepted only in August 2018 to be a recipient of this MTCP.
Okay.
But I must emphasize here that through sharing of Malaysia's development experiences, we believe that Ukrainian officials will be able to further enhance their skills and capabilities by participating in these courses. The economic turnover in between two countries in 2017 accounted for $210 million. This is not a very big sum, but still it is impressive. Has the number changed in the previous year, 2018, and what is the forecast for, let's say, upcoming 5 years? I wish to update that from January to November 2018, the number has actually increased to 255 million US dollars, or equivalent to 1 billion Malaysian ringgit. That is a very impressive statistic. And in the coming years, I think there are more opportunities for Malaysia and Ukraine to increase their bilateral trade relations.
I'm sorry. What are the products that are usually imported by Malaysia from Ukraine, since Ukraine is one of the biggest agricultural producers in Europe now? There are obviously products that are imported by Malaysia from Ukraine. So what are they?
Based on the data, Malaysia's major imports from Ukraine are vegetable oils, namely the sunflower oil and rapeseed oil, agriculture products such as grains and pulses, as well as iron and steel products. And I'm happy to inform you that since 2018, Ukrainian fruits, namely apples and berries, have already entered into Malaysian market.
That's great news.
Yeah.
According to the World Bank, Malaysia ranked 15th in the ranking of countries with a favorable business climate. And one of the important directions of strengthening the economy in Malaysia is tourism. We've already talked about it. Now, Ukrainians are actively traveling to Malaysia. Well, maybe not as actively as you wished it to be, but still the number is rising. How active are Malaysians in the industry of tourism towards Ukraine?
We are, as I said before, promoting tourism to Ukrainians, and we have increased our promotional activities. And right now, the nearest connection from Ukraine to Malaysia is a direct flight from Kiev to Bangkok. And in future, we hope that there will be direct connection flight from Ukraine to Malaysia.
These are the nearest plans for the future. Now, what about the technology sector? How does Ukraine and Malaysia cooperate in the technology sector, technology area?
Malaysia, as you know, currently is the 27th biggest exporting nation in the world. And cooperation in trade has been the constant element in advancing the bilateral relation between Malaysia and Ukraine. In technologies and innovation, I can give you some recent examples where both countries are cooperating closely.
Please do.
Recently, a Malaysian company called Intra Bekal has cooperated with NIC LLC, NIK. NIC LLC is well known in Ukraine for producing smart meters, whether smart meters in electricity, gas, or water. And recently, Intra Bekal, a Malaysian company, has awarded a contract to NIC LLC to supply smart meters, electricity to Malaysia. And you imagine, in Malaysia we have 31 million population.
Okay.
And if this company will be supplying electricity smart electricity meters to all the homes in Malaysia, just imagine how much of money is involved in this transaction.
Okay, that's a lot. Now, what are the plans for expanding the cooperation between Malaysia and Ukraine in the year we're living in right now, 2019?
I also must mention here that we are taking steps to boost bilateral trade. And trade missions are one of the normal means to encourage bilateral trade. And I also should mention here that recently the Halal Certification Center LLC of Ukraine has been given the recognition by the Malaysian Islamic Development Department as you know, halal means that the meat is prepared according to Islamic law. And this would mean that products in halal products will be traded in a bigger volume between the two countries. And also this would mean that the halal products from Ukraine, having been given the Malaysian halal certification, can now also have market access to other Muslim countries in the world. Yeah.
Okay, and for the last question, I have not maybe a question that is not so optimistic, but it is a point that is a point of interest to a lot of people and a lot of people in our audience. Ukraine and Malaysia are among 5 countries that are taking active part in the investigation of the downing of MH17 Malaysia flights airplane. Now, what does Malaysian government expect out of this investigation?
This year, on the 14th of July 2019, we are approaching the 5th anniversary of the downing of Malaysian airline MH17. I wish to emphasize here that Malaysia's overriding aim is to ensure that justice is served. Malaysia, being a member of the Joint Investigation Team, or JIT, comprising of 5 countries, the Netherlands, Australia, Belgium, Ukraine and Malaysia, we remain fully committed to the JIT efforts to identify and prosecute the perpetrators of this inhuman act. As the criminal investigation is ongoing, we hope that all concerned parties would focus on ensuring the exhaustiveness of this criminal investigation, so that our ultimate goal will be eventually achieved. So far, Malaysia is very pleased with the Dutch-led investigation, and we have full confidence in the Dutch legal system to try the perpetrators in a very effective and expeditious manner.
What we're all hoping for. Thank you so much for coming and having this conversation.
Thank you very much.
That was Dato Raja Reza. He's ambassador of Malaysia to Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the rest.